What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Bar2 with another episode of Pilltalkpodcast, coming to educate, motivate, and inspire you. Today, I have a special guest, Dr. Thomia Campbell, who's a dentist out in the Atlanta area. This is a good episode because out of all episodes, this probably was the most anticipated and asked about one, getting a dentist on. So, hey, Dr. Campbell, happy to have you. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for being on.
Glad to be here.
Yes. I don't know what it is, but I think dentists probably have the most busiest schedule ever to try to get one of you guys on. But thank you for taking the time out of your day.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure.
All right, so let's jump into it. Okay. What gave you a spark that you wanted to become a dentist?
So I think a lot of things contributed to my spark, so to speak. I, from a very young age, I always had a knack for drawing and being creative, like painting, building things with my hands, any type of artistic type of thing, like really drew my attention. And I also had a knack for like doing hair and styling hair and like creating things. So I think that in addition to over time, exploring different career paths and also knowing that I wanted to do something in the medical field led me to a career in dentistry. And then I also believe that having braces also was a pretty big part in me deciding to consider dentistry as a career and later pursue it.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's probably a lot of reasons. I've talked to a few dentists, like they've had to have braces or some type of dental work, and they was like, you know what, and that what kind of drove them into the profession. So that's dope.
Yeah.
All right, so that's your spark. So how did you get here? Like education-wise, what was your path? Like, because I know you can do a residency, you can just do general dental. So yeah. What was your pursuit?
So my path was undergrad. So after high school, I went to Oakwood University, and I was a biology major because being a science major, it pretty much covered all the prerequisites for dental school. And so after that, once I graduated, I had applied for dental school and, I had gotten in. So right after undergrad, I went to University of Maryland in Baltimore for dental school. Dental school is 4 years. So the first 2 years are a lot of book work, and the last 2 years is more clinical. After I graduated from dental school, after the 4 years, there are a couple of options, and everybody does something different. What I did was I did a residency at Howard University for 1 year. It's an advanced educational general dentistry residency. And it pretty much gives you more clinical skill, working with patients, doing some more advanced cases than what you probably would do in dental school. And then after that, I started private practice. I just went right in afterwards. Not everybody does that. Some people could, one, just jump right into private practice, or they may work at a corporate office. Some people did what I did, which is where they do a residency for like a year or 2 years. And other people, they may want to specialize in they may want to pursue a specialty in dentistry, which depending on what that specialty is, that could be anywhere from 2 to 4 years. So I did not want to go that route and be in school for any longer. So once I did my 4 years, once I did my residency for a year, I was like, I am ready to go. I'm ready to work, in a private office setting and go from there. So that was pretty much my journey. It was kind of interesting though. When I started dental school, my very first year, I was pretty much a traditional student, meaning that I went straight from undergrad. I didn't have any time afterwards. And then I went straight to dental school. A lot of friends of mine I found either had like professional degrees, like an MBA or even a PhD in another career, and decided to later on pursue dentistry. Some of my friends were math majors. They weren't bio majors. For some reason, I thought everybody was a science major who got to dental school or medical school, but they were totally different majors in college, but they took those prerequisites and obviously were able to go to school. So I thought that was kind of cool how, some people took a less traditional path, but we still ended up in the same place. So
yeah, nice.
yeah.
What made you decide that you wanted to do that residency to get that advanced training?
So I felt that, well, one, I heard from some of my faculty and staff, and it was advised that in doing that, it looks pretty good to different offices or companies, if you're trying to work for them, that you just aren't fresh out of dental school, that you had an opportunity to get more training in a year. And also, I just wanted that extra that extra time to become even more confident, pick up my speed, and kind of transition more smoothly into a private practice setting from an academic setting. So,
yeah, man, it's the same with pharmacy. They definitely are pushing the residency programs now because it's like everyone can get the Pharm D, but like, let's see what you can specialize in. Let's get you more clinical because it's going away from, I guess, retail to more other things.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like that might be the same thing with you guys as well.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, I may end up becoming like the standard at some point in the future. I don't know, but yeah.
Definitely. All right. So you went into a private practice. Were you working for someone or did you open doors to your own business on day one after residency?
Yeah. So when I was doing my residency program, I would say kind of like the last 3 months of my program, I started looking for a job because I knew that once I finished, I wanted to be employed. I didn't want there to be a big gap. So I was hired at an office part-time, private practice office. And so on the days that I didn't have to go in for class, I would be working at that office. And it really turned out to be pretty great because once I finished my residency program, I was there full time. So I was able to kind of have a good idea of the patient base and some of the patients. And that was, I felt like a nice transition from residency to private practice. I got to start slow. And then after I finished my training, hit the ground running. So that's kind of how I did that.
Nice. I do have a question about starting your own business. Mm-hmm. So I know a lot of dentists, once they get out of dental school, they actually open up their own office. Is that something that you guys learn in school? Like, do y'all have like a business course or something like that? Or do y'all just learn by just working for someone for a little while and just picking everything up?
You know, I wish they did because they teach us nothing about business in dental school. They just teach us like the skill and the craft of it, but they don't teach us anything related to business. And on my exit interview from dental school, one of the key things that we were advised on was to not open a business or practice right away unless we had like a family member that owned the practice that we could kind of learn the ropes from or who knew what they were doing, just because dentists have done that in the past and have failed. And you can go into a lot of debt in addition to what you may owe from dental school, opening something that you don't have the knowledge and the experience in doing. So it isn't something that they teach you, but there are like CE courses, continuing education courses that are available so that you can learn like the steps to do that. And a lot of my classmates, actually, I would say around year 5 after graduating from dental school, between like year 3 and year 5 afterwards, some of them actually started to open their own practice because they worked for corporate for a couple of years and they were like, nah, I don't like how I want to do things my way. I want to, have my own autonomy and all this stuff. So, some of those friends of mine, they read books, they listened to podcasts, they went to seminars and conferences. They even, for people that they may have worked with, kind of learned the ropes from them before diving into, I'm going to up and just buy my own practice. Some people started their practice from scratch, meaning they purchased, a property or a lot and then had it built ground up. Some people I knew bought a practice once the dentist that was there was like retiring and like transitioning out. So that's pretty much what my experience is in terms of knowing how people have done that. I personally haven't done that. But it's definitely something that's doable, but it's not something you want to just kind of jump blindly and like, oh, I know how to do dentistry now. Let me open my own practice and see how it goes. Like you want to make sure you have the right knowledge base and somebody who can really help you navigate trying to do that.
Okay, nice. I was wondering, I was like, man, everyone just opening up their own, like, are they teaching them this? Like this part of the curriculum? Like they should talk this in pharmacy school. Definitely. I know the student loans is crazy. But so you worked for a private practice for how long?
I worked for a private practice for probably about 3 years. And then after that, I had transitioned to working for a hospital, actually. And that was for about 2 years. And after that, I went back to private practice. So
you definitely want to get into the hospital aspect of it because you was working for Connecticut Valley Hospital.
Yes.
And you was working with the psych patients and addiction, patients with addictions. So can you talk a little bit about that and how did you get involved with that?
Yeah. So that was an awesome experience. And that's part of the reason why I gave with my words of wisdom, always be open to different avenues in your career, because up until then, I had only worked in private practice. And so after having twins and getting back to work after that, that kind of opened up a opportunity to work at this hospital. And it was very different in that a lot of patients in private practice, they, some people may be on some medications and most of the patients are able to pay for things or services. Whereas at the hospital, a lot of the patients that I saw, they had mental health issues. They had binders of medical history information. So instead of, going through like a sheet or two of medication and, some conditions that they may have had in terms of their health, like there's pages on pages of stuff. So I have to look at all this stuff and medications and names of medications before even working on them. And so in addition to that, I had to also work with their psychiatrist and their physician on the unit when I was planning out their treatment for things that they needed. So that experience, it definitely allowed me to work with other doctors in terms of treating the patient holistically, not just focusing on their mouth, but how what I did could affect, other areas or how other areas in their body could affect the work that I was doing in their mouth. And then also, I was able to, with the addiction services patients, those patients, I didn't get to treat them comprehensively just because they're in the program for like 40 to 60 days. So it was turning on a different side of my brain on how to treat patients when I can't, have this whole treatment plan for them to do, and I'm not going to see them long enough, and prioritizing, what treatments needed to get done first. So it was a nice change in pace from what I was used to, but it was definitely a big learning experience. So.
Yeah. And I see when you were there at the Connecticut Valley, you became the lead dentist and dental director.
Yeah. So at the time, I think right around the time when I was interviewing for the position, the previous dentist that was there, he was retiring. So they needed to have somebody pretty much fill his role. And I had interviewed, things had worked out, and that was the position that I was. So I was the only dentist there. There was about a little over 600 patients that we saw between the psychiatric and the addiction services. There were one hygienist and 2 assistants that helped. So things got kind of crazy at times, but we held it down. And I really enjoyed working there. The patients were super appreciative and just thankful that we were able to do what we could do for them. And it was overall a great experience.
Yeah, I can imagine 600 patients over that time frame. Busy is an understatement. Yeah. So all right, you left there and you came back to, you moved to Atlanta to open up another practice, or you were working with someone now currently?
So I moved to Atlanta and was working in a private practice. So I went back to private practice. I have not owned a practice or started my own. I personally enjoy the flexibility of being an associate dentist, which is pretty much a dentist that works in a practice. There could be a couple of dentists that are there, or two or one other one, but I enjoy the flexibility of that. I don't know if I'm down for ownership just yet, but I'm definitely learning the ropes of that. And who knows? I mean, maybe in the future that could be something that happens, but yeah. Back to private practice, and I'm enjoying it here. Doing a lot of restorative dentistry, full mouth rehab. Some patients, they may need crowns everywhere. They want to just redo their whole smile. So just being able to provide that service for them, and other things too. Invisalign, it's nice. It's really nice.
So before I get into some questions actual about dentistry, can you give us an example when you helped out a patient, like someone came in and probably wanted to redo their whole smile, and what was the impact on that person afterwards?
Yeah. So there's two patients that I can kind of think of, but one patient was a male patient who had very worn teeth, and he didn't like his smile, didn't like the color of the teeth or the shape. Thought the teeth were too short. And he was a little skeptical at first, especially when you're paying a lot of money for your smile to look a certain way. But we did a wax up. We did everything in stages. And after we delivered all his crowns, everything just looked amazing. He was smiling all the time. He was super just thankful. He had become a grandfather recently. So he was taking pictures with his baby and everybody and showing me pictures. And to me, looking at the before pictures and him knowing what it looked before and seeing the final result, you could just tell he was just more confident. He was more, into how he looked. It was awesome. And similar situation for a lady that had to have pretty much full mouth extractions. And we did a complete denture for her. She went from having obviously no teeth, or the teeth that she did have, they were so broken down that she never smiled, to now having not only a beautiful set of dentures, but a functional set of dentures as well too. And so to be able to finally chew her food and swallow and not, be so afraid of choking, and to be able to smile and be confident and not have her face look too short, because she had a severely collapsed bite. She was super appreciative and thankful for that. And it was also able to get done before her, I think it was her high school. I don't know what year reunion it was, but it was probably over a 20-year high school reunion. So she was glad to go to that and be confident with her new smile. So it always makes me feel great when I'm able to not only see the transformation for the patient, but just to see their confidence and just them happy. That's, to me, that's always the end goal, having a happy patient and having work that you're proud of.
Yeah, definitely. And, right now, I think, I'm not sure I'm about to ask, but is the dentistry business booming? Because now everyone is coming in, getting the veneers, getting the teeth whitening, getting perfection. That's what they're looking for.
I would say in some ways it is. 2 summers ago, there were some setbacks with COVID, obviously, because the virus is generated through aerosols. And in our profession, we generate aerosols, and we are less than 6 feet away from people's mouths. So for a little while, there was a lot of fear associated with coming to the dentist and getting stuff done. But I do feel like since people have started to become vaccinated, and since, we're taking more protective measures with wearing N95s and different things in the office to implement additional measures of safety, things are kind of getting back to norm. And so.
All right. So veneers. I see a lot of celebrities, entertainers are getting those. Can you break that down? What are they, and how long do they actually last, the functionality of them?
Yeah. So I think the best description I can give of a veneer is kind of like, well, females would probably relate to this a little bit more, maybe, but like press on nails. So you know how you have like a nail and you put the nail glue and you press it on. It's kind of like that. A veneer is where your tooth is minimally prepped. So very little of the enamel is removed and an impression is taken and it's not a full coverage crown, but it's like a kind of like a 3/4 crown over the front part of the tooth and the edge. A porcelain veneer is made and it's cemented on the tooth. A lot of times, in terms of the longevity, it will depend on obviously the patient's hygiene. If they're not going to be brushing and flossing and plaque is accumulating around there and a cavity is going to form around there, then that could prevent the veneer from lasting a really long time. If the patient is a grinder or a clincher and they're applying, parafunctional forces, or they have parafunctional habits, they're grinding and clenching their teeth, that could cause the veneer to break or pop off. So typically after I do full mouth rehab cases where they're getting crowns or veneers, we deliver what's called an occlusal guard or a night guard. And it's something that when the patients, go to sleep, they wear and it protects their teeth, especially if I know I have a patient that's a grinder or clincher. But I would say there have been patients who have had crowns and veneers last for 20 plus years. If they're having, taking good care of their teeth, they're staying on top of their cleanings and making sure that if they have any issues or concerns that they're addressed right away before there's a real problem. So.
Nice. Good. I know a lot of people are getting them. A lot of people are starting on that trend. So I just wanted to know a little more about that.
Yeah.
Teeth whitening. So I heard multiple things about that it could be a good thing. It could cause sensitivity. Mm-hmm. So if someone wants to get their teeth whitened, what would be the best way to go about it? And what are some of the things to look for with it?
Yeah. So one of the most common complications with teeth whitening is the sensitivity. Everybody is different. Some people's teeth are more sensitive than others. The cheapest alternative would be to do something over the counter, like some Crest white strips. However, I personally recommend having your whitening done professionally at a dental office, because when it's done professionally, you will have what's called custom trays made. So it's like an impression that's taken of your mouth, the top and bottom arch. And these trays are made to pretty much, it's a mold of your teeth. And in that mold, you'll be able to put the gel in the spaces provided to whiten your teeth. So if you want to whiten your tooth from all the way in the back where you can barely see, around, you could do that. Whereas like with the strips you get over the counter, depending on how big your smile is and how long the strip is, you're going to be limited to, you don't want to have the strip cover this much of your smile. And then when you smile, like more of your teeth are showing. So with the custom tray, you have that added benefit of like the teeth that you want whitened, they're getting whitened. The teeth that are going to be shown when you're smiling, they're getting whitened. And also when we do in-office whitening, it's where it's a 2-hour session. We make the impression or the mold to get the custom tray. And we've used Zoom whitening before. And it's pretty much where a gel is placed on the teeth and there's a light that shines on it. And as that light is shining on the gel, it causes the whitening process to begin. And so after a couple of rounds of that, we take a picture afterwards. We compare the before picture to the after picture, and the patient is sent home with an additional whitening at home kit so that if they want to whiten their smile even more, they can whiten it more that way. So I think when you have it done in office, it's just a more thorough treatment and you're going to get a more predictable result. So I'm always going to be pushing more for that than I would something over the counter.
All right. So the in-office treatment, is it a one-time treatment or you have to go back periodically until you get the smile that you want?
That's a good question. So usually it can be a one-time treatment. However, if you drink a lot of coffee, tea, wine, foods that stain your teeth, that could reverse the whitening process. So I typically tell patients that are, like coffee drinkers every day to drink out of a straw and not just sip out of the mug, because that way the coffee is not hitting all your teeth and it's going directly back to your mouth. If you're a smoker, smoking causes stains, and that can also cause your teeth to get darker too. So if you do any of those things that could reverse that whitening process, we typically advise patients not to do that. Or if they are going to do that, they just need to be aware that, hey, you're probably going to have to get your teeth whitened again at some point in the future. It won't last as long. So.
Okay. Understand that.
Yeah.
So we're going to change subjects for a little bit. So you are a wife, mother, and dentist. So how do you find a work-life balance with all of this?
Ooh, I don't know if I'd ever use the word balance, because it's always a juggling act. I think I've started to accept that some days I'm going to be a better wife and mom than I'm going to be dentist. And some days I'm going to be a better dentist than I am, a wife and a mom. And I mean, I try my best to be best in all those areas. And some days I am, but I give myself grace for the days that I may not be as good as I wanted to be in those other areas. So one thing that I try to do to just achieve some, I guess, sort of balance is to make sure I prioritize, my time when I'm with my family at home. Thankfully, when I leave work, I'm done with work. I'm not having to do patient notes when I get home. So wherever I'm at that moment, I just try to be present. So when I'm at work, I give it my best and I'm present with my patients. When I'm at home, I try to give it my best as well too, and be present with my family and be present with my spouse. And I also have to take time, and am getting better at taking time for myself and being present for me and showing up for me, whether that's, having like a little weekend getaway with some of my girlfriends, or, reading or working out, or however that looks, for me to still feel like I'm being true to me and I'm still doing the things that I liked before I was married, before I had kids. I try to incorporate that into my daily schedule, so it's not always easy, but I think over time I've gotten a lot better at doing it. And yeah.
Hey, I think that's probably one of the most realist answers I've gotten. Like, some days I'm better, some days I'm not, but I try to give my best every day. It's nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
So I think the last question I got for you: what's your next career goals, dreams? Where do you see yourself 5-10 years?
Yeah. So I think one of my goals would be to start doing something in academics. I really, really enjoyed when I was doing my residency at Howard. There was one day out of the week where we were faculty for the dental students when they had evening clinic. So being able to work with them, and when they got stuck on trying to get somebody numb or trying to take a tooth out or trying to get an x-ray, like being able to do that really was a joy for me. And even when I was a dental student, we had faculty that worked in private practice that were our clinical staff. And so I always looked forward to working with them, because they gave a lot of practical advice on how to do certain things. Like when you're in the school setting, everything's like textbook and like, this is the perfect. But when you start working in private practice or in the real world, nothing is textbook, nothing is ideal. So having somebody that's from the outside, who's seen the non-textbook crazy stuff, come in and give you advice on how to do things, or an alternative way to do things and get a good result, was something that I enjoyed. And I want to give that to students as well too. So I do see myself kind of dipping into that. Another goal of mine would be to start a scholarship for dental students who are interested in pursuing a career in dentistry. I think at the time I was at Oakwood, somebody had started one, and I don't know if it's still going. It probably is, but I would want to start one too, because I thought that, man, that's so cool to have, something like a dental exam or study materials paid for, when you're trying to apply for dental school and, you're a broke college student asking your parents for money, your family for money. So that's something that I look forward to doing as well. So.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Hopefully you're able to get those things accomplished. You become a teacher with the scholarship at the school. And,
Yeah, I have a feeling I don't know when, but I'm definitely making strides to try to do something in that regard. So I'm looking forward to seeing how things unfold.
All right. So you got any closing words that you want to give before I end this episode?
Yeah, I think one of the things I would just want to share is, whoever's watching, be true to yourself. Be true to what you feel like you need in your career, what you feel like is a negotiable and what's a non-negotiable. I think sometimes, experience and time are the best teachers of that. But, never try to live up to people's expectation of you or put that pressure. Like, you do what you feel like is best for you. And I would also say, like, bet on yourself. Sometimes it's easy to question your abilities, to question if you're good enough, especially if you're comparing yourself. The only person you should be competing with is being a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday. So always bet on yourself, believe in yourself. Even if things are hard and you fail, keep trying. It's just making you better. And I think that's probably the two things that I would want those listening to keep in mind as they pursue any type of career, whether it's in dentistry or anything in the medical profession or not. So. Nice.
Those are some great advice. I know a lot of people who are listening probably gonna be like, they want to go someplace to do something and it's going against their non-negotiable and they think they're gonna miss out. But sometimes you just need to say no, leave it where it's at, because you will put yourself through more pain going against your non-negotiable than just not doing it at all.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. Man. But I want to say thank you again for taking the time out. I really enjoyed this episode. I hope everyone know and listen and learn some things. Oh yeah, before we go, if you want to give them your social media handles or let them know where they can find you to get more business at your private practice, you can definitely drop that information here.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram and my Instagram name is Thomia Campbell, DDS. So definitely look me up. I try to post a little bit of everything as it relates to my life, whether it's family, career, dentistry. So definitely hit me up there. A lot of people have either through like direct messaging or things that I post. So yeah, I would say that's probably the best way.
Nice. So thank you guys. This is another episode of Pill Talk Podcast. Hope you became inspired and motivated to live at your full potential. Thank you, Dr. Campbell, for coming on. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you for the invite.